This is going to be the first of a series of programs we're going to do around the state. It's a listening tour. It's not a time for me to give some rousing campaign speech. It's mainly to listen to folks and find out what's going on. We are in Union Springs, Alabama, the great Bullitt County, home of State Senator Billy Beasley over here. I say home. He represents this area around here, been here for a long time. I see Judge Smithhart back here. We got the sheriff. We got a lot of folks that are here, just came supporters as well. So we're going to talk a little bit. So you're first up out of this whole thing. How do you feel about being number one?
That's what I get for running my mouth so much, but hey, that's what I'm known for.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. So we're here in Bullitt County. And, you know, we've got a primary coming up May the 19th. We got a general election coming up in November.
Yes.
Quite frankly, I don't know about y'all. I think that this gives us, we have the historic opportunity in a lot of ways to change the state. I think we got a historic opportunity to let the state of Alabama, those that are in statewide office, focus on places like Bullitt County, because I don't think they've had the focus that they should have in the past. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So I'm here. You're up, number one. What's on your mind, LaShonda?
Again, let me introduce myself. My name is Miss LaShonda Johnson. I'm a lifelong resident here of Union Springs, Bullitt County, Alabama. I'm proud to say that I was part when we flipped Alabama blue when you became a senator. So we're going to flip Alabama blue again.
Awesome,
as you
2017.
Become the
All
yes,
right.
sir. But being a lifelong resident of one of the most economically distressed counties, rural counties in Alabama, I see every day that families navigate through limited healthcare access. We navigate through major infrastructure gaps. We navigate through so many different things that make it rural areas like Bullitt County to thrive. For individuals like me who are on the ground, who's committed to progression and moving forward and not regression, because I feel as though we're moving back, we're not moving forward.
Right.
So my question to you as governor, what is the single most policy change, or I'm not going to say, I say policy change or legislation, or single most item that you can do as governor that will set up Bullitt County for longevity, not just the right now, for the long term? Because we do have individuals who have generations and generations and generations. Some of us who are fortunate to have college degrees move away, and when it comes to monies, we're funded based on census. And the census say the people are not here, but the people are here. So we don't receive the fundings that some of our neighboring counties receive. So that's why we lose the resources, we lose the count, we lose the bodies, we lose the families. So just one single policy that you think that would change, that would set us up so we can continue to move, so that we can move forward. Let me say that like that.
I'm gonna answer that kind of.
Okay.
Because they ain't one.
It's
okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you two, but I also want to turn it back, because again, you're on the ground here, and I want to make sure that I leave here knowing what folks on the ground think is the single biggest policy thing that a governor can do, or the legislature can do.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you my initial reactions. Two things. Number one is healthcare. And that is expanding Medicaid. Okay? Now, a governor can change the eligibility for Medicaid and expand Medicaid with a stroke of a pen. I am going to do that. Okay? It'll then be up to the legislature to fund it.
Yes.
But the problem that we've had in the past is that we've not had a single statewide office holder. Statewide. We've had some good legislators who have pushed for Medicaid expansion. We haven't had a single statewide office holder that's been a champion of Medicaid expansion. You're going to find a governor that's not only going to sign the law and change the eligibility, you're going to find a governor who's going to be the champion. And I'm hoping we get some more folks elected that will help, because that will put the pressure on the legislature to get that money and get it done. So that's number one. I really believe good healthcare delivery systems in rural counties are the absolute key to the health of a county, not just their physical health, but their economic health. That's number one. The other thing I'd like to do, of course, there's all this issues about workforce development, and we can talk about that maybe separately some. But one of the things that we've talked about doing, I'd like to get some state incentives that are going to people that can establish small businesses in places like Bullock County, that they can keep folks here. Y'all have got here in Union Springs, I know somewhere there's some buildings that are vacant. They are in every rural county. If we can get some folks that are interested, that are from Bullock County, that are interested in starting a small business of whatever kind, let those small businesses get some of the tax incentives that these big corporations from out of state are getting, because it doesn't always trickle down, I think, to folks here. Yes. So that's two things, okay? I know you asked for one, yes. But I have been talking about Medicaid expansion in healthcare for a long time. We're still seeing rural hospitals leaving the state. So let me flip the script just a little bit. We've got about 4 minutes here.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? What would you like to see the governor or the state of Alabama do to help Bullock County? What's your single biggest thing that you think that a governor should do to help this county?
Don't forget about us. I think when we helped elect you as the senator, you did not forget about us. You made sure that we had funding. I remember that. So when you're elected governor, don't forget about the small people. See, I feel as though when individuals become elected, they forget about the small rural areas. Like they're going to remember Montgomery. They're going to remember Birmingham. They're going to remember Mobile. But what about the Barbers and the Bullets and the Macon counties? What about those people?
Right.
We matter. So if you have the mindset that the small people matter, just like you said, it'll all trickle down. If you remember the small people, everything else gonna fall in place.
Yeah.
So the mindset has to change first. Once the mindset change, the heart's gonna change.
That's so
your
important.
heart's gonna be softened, right. And you're gonna remember the smaller people.
So look, thank you for that. I think that, well, first of all, thank you for acknowledging that I didn't forget Bullock County or the entire Black Belt when I was in the United States Senate. Yes. I ran in 2017 in part to give a voice to these counties that hadn't had a voice in the United States Senate in 25 years. And I'm glad there's a recognition that we did that. We accomplished that. And I promise you that is absolutely something that we will do. We will have to have statewide elected officials, starting at the top with the governor, to remember, because you're absolutely right. That's what I was talking about, a champion for Medicaid expansion.
Yes, sir.
We hadn't had a champion in statewide office for Bullock County and for folks like in the entire Black Belt area. And so you get you're way down on the list.
Yes.
If you have champions, and you will have a champion, we're going to try to make sure that everything we do has everybody's advantage. Everybody has an equal shot.
Yeah, because we see everybody now because it's election season. People we haven't seen since the last election, but everybody's going to show up for town hall meetings and political forums now because you want to be reelected or you want to be elected. But once you're elected, why don't we see you anymore? Or if we see you, you go into certain sectors of people that you have already built relationships and partnership with. And I feel as though we need, especially in the rural areas, we need partnership, relationships, leadership on the state and national level. Absolutely. Just not on the local level. And if you don't have that, you have a broken chain. Well, and that's what's been going on. It's just been a broken chain.
One of the things that I'm going to do, and I've already told the staff, when we all get sworn in next year,
yes, sir.
In January.
Oh, yes, we will. Yes.
We're going to keep doing things like this.
Yes, sir.
Every month, we will go somewhere, maybe more than once a month. Look, somebody the other day was talking about, the contrast with me and other candidates or even other current governor or other governors that have been. And the difference that you're going to see with Doug Jones is just like when I was in the Senate.
Yes, sir.
You're going to see me.
Okay.
You're going to see me in Bullock County. You're going to see me in Barber County. You're going to see me in Greene County. You're going to see me in Birmingham and in Huntsville and those areas. But I'm going to be out. I'm not just going to go sit behind those big old columns in the governor's mansion.
Yes, sir.
And just enjoy the office. I'm going to be out with folks doing exactly what I'm doing today. Thank you. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Good to see you. Thank you very much. All right. That was great. Okay. I got another candidate here. Danny Jackson.
That's me.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
All right,
How are
good
you?
to see you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
So, talk to me a little bit. What do you want to see a governor? I know you're running for office. You're running for sheriff.
Yes, yes.
And you're out there talking to people, so you're obviously listening to what folks are saying. What are you hearing out there? What are they thinking for somebody in Montgomery?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming down and spending some time with us here in Bullock County. There's many things that we need here in Bullock County because we're a rural area and we're strapped for money in all areas. But I'm in the law enforcement area,
Right.
so that's what I'm gonna talk about. In Bullock County, we need funding or more funding in the law enforcement. We in the sheriff department, we have the lowest budget in the state of Alabama. We got good officers, good young men and women working at the sheriff department and the police department, and they need a living wage. We need to. Unfortunately, I had to leave home to go to Montgomery and start my law enforcement career. And I want it to be where young men and women, when they get out of high school, if they want to go in law enforcement, they can stay right here at home and serve their community. But a lot of times they can't afford to stay at home because the wages are so low. So I want to be able to boost the pay, the equipment, and the working environment in the law enforcement community here in Bullock County. Also, we need 24-hour law enforcement here in Bullock County. So we need the resources to do that. And I would like for you as the governor not to forget us. Ms. Johnson was right. When you were senator, you didn't forget about us. And once you become governor, I would like, and I know you won't forget about us then, but I would like to have that line where I can connect to your people when Bullock County needs something in the law enforcement community.
Absolutely. And let me make sure everybody knows. And Danny and I talked about this before we started the show. Danny's running. He's got a primary opponent, but he's running hard.
Right.
But he knows that this is not kind of an
Right.
endorsement or anything. But we're talking about law enforcement.
Right.
And so this
Whoever
is
wins.
Whoever wins is going to need
It's for the
those
betterment
resources.
of Bullock County.
That's right. So let me ask you, right now, there's not necessarily 24-hour law enforcement in Bullock County. I mean, it's slim in the morning hours, I guess, or something.
Yes.
Okay. So police departments in Union Springs and in the county.
Well, police department, this is just the county.
Right.
Yes, police department has 24 hours.
Okay.
Yes.
So the county covers a lot more area.
Yes,
than-
624 square miles, I believe.
How many deputies in the county?
5.
5 deputies. That's not many for
Right.
that. Okay. So one of the things that I think that we've got to try to figure out is how to get those resources.
Yes.
There, at least before this administration, okay, and I don't know exactly where these things are now, but prior to this administration, that in Washington, there were resources. There were federal resources.
Right.
And one of the problems that I saw when I was U.S. attorney, not all of those resources got down to the local levels that they should. They still kind of go to the favorite
Right.
counties and others. They need that too, but I think it's important to remember that there are folks in this county that are susceptible to criminal activity, that they need their sheriff, they need their local police departments.
Right.
So we got to just upgrade. We got to get, and the real critical factor, I think, is not just the equipment, but the personnel.
Right.
You got to get folks a living wage
Right.
down here that they can not only have their life, but we can recruit people
Right.
in there. Correct. Where'd you go to the academy? Where'd you go?
I went to the Montgomery Police Academy, but I was also fortunate enough to attend the FBI National Academy in Quantico.
Okay. That was from a federal grant, I assume.
Well, I was chief of police at the time, and through they have a program where they invite law enforcement in the executive positions to to attend this academy.
Okay.
And I was the only one in this area who they never had anyone in this area to attend that academy.
So I know that a lot of, through ADECA,
Right.
a lot of the funds from the federal government come to ADECA, and then there's a lot of discretion about where those funds go.
Right. When I was chief of police, I leaned on it. They knew my name at ADECA because I was there all the time trying to get funds to at the police department.
Well, we'll make sure all of these areas get that.
Right.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know this answer. If you had to pinpoint one big law enforcement issue, crime issue, not the personnel, not the equipment, but what is it that you need these resources for? What's one criminal justice issue that you need these resources?
One of the main issues is personnel. We need more personnel. We need more boots on the ground here in Bullock County.
How's that going to help you? That's what I'm asking.
Well,
how will that help you? I want folks that are going to be listening to this to understand that rural areas in Alabama have issues that they've got to deal with. You know, Montgomery and Birmingham, they get the headlines sometime with some of their stuff. But I mean, folks here need to be protected too.
Right. Let's take the town of Midway. Midway, there's a lot of citizens in Midway. Midway and Union Springs, it's the only two towns in Bullock County, incorporated towns. But if they have a problem in Midway, and recently they had the Dollar General that got robbed, or was robbed down there. But sometimes it might take an hour and a half to get help to Midway because we don't have a precinct down there.
Right.
We need a precinct in Midway because the amount of citizens that lives in Midway, we need a law enforcement officer that can respond within 15 minutes.
Right.
We don't need someone, and it's not fair to the officers to have to go out to these calls by themselves. I've been a police officer, and I know you can get in a situation where you need backup.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the resources that we need in Bullock County to help our law enforcement officers and help our citizens feel like that they're safe and they can pick up the phone and an officer will be there within 15, 20 minutes.
Gotcha. Well, you know, the interesting piece of all this, and I like talking to local law enforcement, out of everybody that's running for governor,
Right.
on either side of the political aisle, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, I'm the only one that's actually been a law enforcement officer as the U.S. attorney, you know, in Birmingham. That's right. And so when I was U.S. attorney, one of the things that we did was we had what we called a law enforcement coordinating committee, where I picked a chief and a sheriff. We had several. We had about 20 people, local folks, that would come in to work with us in our efforts. And I had the FBI special assistant, you know, in charge, and ATF and DEA and customs. Everybody came in to meet with the local law enforcement. And we did a lot of training.
Right.
I'm sure that's another big area,
Right.
ongoing training that you need. And
Training is available because, you know, other law enforcement, they open their doors, they got resources to train. And, you know, but we just got to have the manpower to train.
All right. Well, Danny, thanks. I appreciate you stopping in.
Yeah.
Good luck on your race. Thank you so much.
I am the current sheriff here in Bullock County. And what Danny was saying, some is true and some not. We had the resources coming, but when the president took office, he snatched all that back. He took that back from us, especially in the small counties. He took that back for me. I lost thousands of dollars when he took office, and they couldn't give me the federal money.
Right.
Yeah, but we got
That's a problem with this administration.
Yes.
The Doge and all of those cuts that they did is not just affecting foreign aid, it's affecting the counties in Alabama.
Right.
I got you.
And we were dependent on the resources.
Absolutely.
They took them back.
Okay, thanks, Sheriff. Thank you. Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. What's your name?
Angela Jackson.
Angela?
Yes.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you.
Another Danny Jackson fan. Okay. I get that. I understand that. Appreciate you coming.
Not only a Danny Jackson fan, I'm actually a Bullock County.
Bullock County,
Yes.
okay, awesome.
We talk about the resources. The resource that I'm really concerned about is resources for schools. These young kids, we need something to be done about these young kids. These single mothers out here who can't afford to put their kids in some kind of event or do something with their kids. And the reason why they can't do it because they don't have the funds. Every time some funds are being given to us, it's being taken back. So now guess what the kids are doing? The kids are in the streets because they have nowhere to go and nothing to do.
Let me ask you something. When you said the funds are given to you and then they're taken back, what is it that you're talking about?
Funds that are going to actually give the youth a place to go. Why don't we have a place where in Bullock County, how many places are here now that youth can actually attend? How can you give the
After school?
after school?
Okay.
Some parents have to figure out how to get their kids to the place. What can you do to actually help us get our kids there? Even the teachers now, they're not getting the money that they deserve. They need
Right.
money.
Right.
Seriously, not only just in Bullock County, everywhere.
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 And if you got a teacher shortage in Bullock County?
teacher shortage is everywhere.
Everywhere, too.
It's not just in Bullock
So what do
County,
you
it's everywhere.
do? Are you an educator or
I
just-
used to work in the school system. I
Okay.
was in the school system in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
And I know how hard it is. It is when the teachers actually get into the system, you know what they have to do? They have to buy their own supplies most of the time. They have to use their fund to start everything out. And then they actually send the list home to the parents to try to actually get supplies to do things. Some of the parents can't do those things. So what I'm saying is in Bullock County, when you get elected, what can you send to us to try to help us get our youth somewhere to go so they're not just turning to the streets, not just turning to being in, just hanging out.
Yep.
We need something to help us get it done.
It's a real problem. When I was U.S. Attorney, we had a program called had a program called Weed and Seed, which we helped fund some after-school programs, which was good. Now, we're running into a problem now because there used to be federal monies that you could get to establish these programs, usually at a school or at a church or at a civic center or something that was a public forum that you could help fund these after-school programs. I think most of that's dried up, okay? I think most of that's dried up right now. But the problem I think that you've got is really twofold. One is money going to the school systems itself that's not being funded appropriately. And now we've got a double problem. Bullock County has probably not got the funds that it needed to because so much is tied to property taxes, and the property tax revenues down here are not like they are in other school systems, okay, where the property is worth more. There's other issues with that. So there's a funding issue, and that affects teachers and that sort of thing. The other problem that I see right now is that the state of Alabama has passed this Choose Act, and that's the act that takes money out of the school systems, public money, taxpayer money, hard-earned taxpayer money from folks here in this county, and gives it to folks who want to put their kids in private schools or that have had them there. I don't like that.
Amen.
Okay, I don't like that, and that is taking money out, and it's going to get worse. It is really going to bleed our education trust fund even more when they remove the income caps. So one of the things I want to do is try to get the legislature to look at that and be realistic. I want to keep as much money as we can into that public school system. I have no complaints with private schools, but that's a choice. And if folks want to make that choice, then they need to pay for it.
Absolutely.
And not the entire taxpaying
Absolutely.
public. So we can work on it. One of the things that I think we need to look at too, okay, and I know Phil Insler, who's running for lieutenant governor, I recruited Phil to run for lieutenant governor, state legislator from Montgomery, has just introduced a bill at my urging and my request, because it's a big part of our campaign, and that is for Alabama to finally get a chance to vote on a lottery, okay?
Yes.
And we can take, right now, there is so much money leaving Alabama every week, but especially when that Powerball and the Mega Millions get up. Man, I went across the border when the Powerball got up to $1.8 billion. And I'm telling you, the cars coming out of Alabama were crazy.
Yes, yes.
I did a little video about it saying we're going to get one. Then I went in and bought lottery tickets. Okay. So I think we can use some of that money too for lottery. In the past, it's been designated maybe for college, and we can look at that too. But I really think these systems and these teachers need it first and foremost, because if we don't do everything we can to shore up K through 12, we're going to have struggles there. But you're absolutely right. And I go back. You need a champion. You need a voice.
Absolutely.
In Montgomery, Alabama, on a statewide basis. Okay.
Thank you.
We got want anything else? You got a couple more minutes?
That's it. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right,
Thank you so
Andrew.
much.
Thank you very much. Hey there. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. So introduce yourself for the cameras here.
I am Brittany O'Hara Grant. I am the city council in Clayton, Alabama, but I'm currently on the ballot for House of Representatives, District 84.
Okay.
And I would like to just ask you one particular question, if possible.
Absolutely.
If elected governor, what measurable commitments will you make in your first 2 years to improve economic opportunity and equality for life in Bullitt County specifically?
All right. So the economic opportunities, we go back to the first question there a little bit. I think number one, we try to figure out how to give some tax incentives for small businesses. I'm a big believer in small business. Look, I like these big companies coming in, and that's great, and they provide good jobs. But a lot of those jobs end up making more money for the folks in the corporate boards than anything else. We need to have some small businesses in places like Bullitt County. And I know you've got some, but we need to have small businesses where people that grew up in Bullitt County can start a business and keep their families in Bullitt County. That's what I don't want to see kids leaving. I want to see them want to stay here. So if we can do some incentives to get some of these other areas, some of the buildings and things that are existing that can give them some incentives to do these business, have some metrics to help them along, I think that's a big deal. The other thing I think we've got to do is a little bit better job of workforce development. We hear a lot about that with the state of Alabama. They've talked about workforce development. There's a whole task force now. In fact, I think they created a cabinet level position. But I'm not sure that everybody is talking to each other and being as cooperative like that they should to try to get that up. Right now in Alabama, we have one of the lowest participation rates in the workforce. I'm not sure exactly what it is in Bullitt County, but statewide, it's one of the lowest in the country. I think only West Virginia and Mississippi are lower. We got to train folks. We got to train folks to make sure that they can not only get jobs, but keep those jobs. That's the training is important, but there's also other barriers to people getting in there. We were talking about the education a minute ago. After school care and school care during the summer is a big deal, because if you can't have your kids taken care of, then it's hard for you to get into the workplace. And it's hard enough for single parents already. I want to explore, I just read an article recently, and I haven't gotten the details on this yet, but there's a couple of states that have started programs that would give free daycare, to families that can't afford daycare so that people can get in the workforce. We have got to explore, as part of the public education system, somehow, some way so that families that need the money can get into the workforce and not have to worry about using every dime that they make to simply go for daycare. Elder care is a problem too. And I'm sure folks around in this room are seeing that and feeling. I know I had issues with my mom and dad before they both passed. Elder care is something you'd be amazed. I talked to so many people about running for office this year, and how many folks said, I can't do it because I'm taking care of mom or dad, or both. And so I think that's part of the barriers. So I'm not sure we've studied enough of the barriers of getting people into the workforce, and we need to do it. It is not because people are just lazy. That is not the issue. It's because there's barriers that keep them from it. And some of it's just not making enough. We need to get a living wage, and I think we do that. as well, okay? And I'm assuming you're gonna be running on some of the same things, right?
I am 100%, and one of the things that I have seen across the district is there's a lack of community activity after school hours, as the person before me had already said. So things that we're looking to do is create a Boys and Girls Club for every district, right? So to ensure that Bullitt County has someone for their kids to be actively engaged, because the idle mind is the devil's workshop, and that's what we're dealing with in these areas, right? So to ensure that District 84 has proper representation when it comes to the youth, to ensure their safety as well as community involvement, will also increase the workforce development, because you're starting out at home when they're smaller, and as they grow up, they will have an allegiance to their area. So thank you so much.
Yep, and one of the things that I think we got to look at, Bullitt County and some of these other counties are traditionally seen as poor counties.
Correct.
But not everybody in this county is poor.
Exactly.
Okay, and you got business in this county, and you got landowners in this county that are doing just fine. There needs to be some public-private partnerships in which we get some donations and create those, because you could do that. It would not cost a ton of money in Bullitt County to have one or two of those, Boys and Girls Clubs.
Correct.
It just would, and people can fund those things. So I want to encourage stuff like that. I want to encourage the private, public participation and give folks some incentives to do that.
Unity. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Okay.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next up, we have Ray.
Ray, how are you? I'm Doug.
I'm good, sir.
Good to see you. I'm good. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
What's your last name, Ray?
My name is Ray Scott.
Ray Scott.
I am a lifelong citizen of Bullitt County.
Good for you.
I have been a part of so many different aspects of Bullitt County. I do have a small business here. I am currently the emergency management director here, and I am also seeking the office of sheriff here for this election run. My first question is that based on the things that I've seen over the years here, growing up here, that I know the census plays a major factor in the money that comes here. And it has affected so many different levels, not just law enforcement, but also businesses and also the schools and every aspect of it. Because like you said, Bullitt County is a poor county. We are in the Black Belt area, but the things that I see over the years that can be done, if we're funded in a way compared to some of the other counties that have larger census, then maybe we could do a lot of things. I personally worked 16 years as a deputy sheriff here in Bullitt County, and I know the struggles that we had. I know what we need, what we could improve, but we all know that a lot of things cannot be changed without the proper funding. So with that being said, how can we not just say Bullitt County is in the Black Belt, we're not going to worry about them, we'll just throw them a little change to do this and that, to buy equipment and all that. We need more than equipment. One of the biggest reasons we have so many struggles in law enforcement is because there are so many jobs, even here in Union Springs, that are competitive. You could lose an officer making what he make to go to Wayne Farm, who's going to pay him $2, $3, or maybe $4 more.
Right.
So if I can lose you, and if I can go to Wayne Farm and make $4 more an hour and not have my life on the line,
You're
then
gonna do it.
I'm gonna do that.
Sure.
So when I was growing up, it was a popular thing. It was a thing that a child looked up to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a police officer. You don't have that enthusiasm now to recruit officers the way we need to. So how can we, as a small town, be more competitive with the other companies here like Wayne Farm and Bonnie Plant Farm?
Well, it's always tough, I think, for the public sector to compete with the private sector. That's always tough. That's true in Birmingham. That's true in Hoover and Huntsville, to compete with that private sector, because they've just got more. There's just more opportunities to make that additional. Plus the benefits package that you can get in the private sector. But it does come down to funding. And I think that one of the things that we need to be looking at is again, through ADECA and some about how those monies are distributed. I know there's a lot of things that are done according to population and census, but not everything. Not everything can be that way. There's a lot of discretion that has been used in the past to deny Bullock County and other places what I think they deserve.
Yes.
Okay, that's just pure discretion to give to people that are going to give them big money. Because let me tell you, except for your legislators that you've got, which have all been great to represent Bullock County, and your county commissioners and your mayors have been great to represent, the fact of the matter is, I don't think we can point to a single champion that you've had statewide.
Yes.
That is going to say, look, yes, I care about Huntsville. I care about Birmingham and Montgomery and Mobile, but I also care about Bullock County. I care about Barber County. And we've got to bring those jobs. We've got to get some economic growth down here as well as just, because if you can get the economic growth, your population's going to grow. Right now in Alabama, so many rural areas are losing their population to the urban areas. So we got to reverse that trend. We want to make sure people are staying here. And that'll help a lot. But the other thing is just trying to get that money. Federal monies, and I think your sheriff said it earlier, federal monies have dried up under the Trump administration. They don't want to put monies down around here. And I can tell you guys, they dang sure don't want to put it in Bullock County. It will go to some place that is more Trump country than Bullock County. Okay, yes, that's just picking winners and losers. We're not going to do that. We're going to try to make sure we do things for everybody. It's a really good, you make a great point, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really consistent with what everybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. More funds, more opportunities, fairer distribution of the monies that the state has. Yes, that's going to be, I think, a key. We're going to work for it. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell everybody here, your governor will have a bully pulpit, and I am going to be a champion. I need others. I need other folks that we've recruited to get elected statewide. You got farmers down in Bullock County, and you got Ron Sparks running for his old seat as ag commissioner again. Ron Sparks is going to protect this area down here and the farmers down here and the things that we do for consumer protection. You've got a number of folks that are going to be running. We got to look at a whole ticket. It's not just the governor's office. I've told folks for years, I can't do this alone. Let's get some folks in there. Let's get some good people. So,
well, can I ask you this other question?
Yeah, sure.
Over the years, I've noticed increased violence in this area. And with the increase in violence, when I was growing up, if you had maybe one murder in Bullock County, that was too many. Now we're getting multiple ones. Now we're getting where a lot of those haven't been solved because of the issues that we have in the departments. We're only having minimum officers. Mm-hmm. They're doing the best that they can. Right. And we all know and understand that. But what kind of resources can we ask for and expect to receive if we were to come to you as the governor?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to figure out what's the resource you need. You need more patrol officers to try to prevent some of this. Do you need more investigators to try to do? The answer is yes, all of the above, right? Okay. We just got to find a way to get you more better protection. But let me ask you this, okay? Because this is the kind of thing I want to hear. What do you think is causing some increase in the number, even though it's still relatively small compared to some places? What's causing the increase in homicide in this area?
I think what it is there are more peer pressure. You know, when we were coming up, and I used to hear people say this all the time, who would you listen to? Mm-hmm. Earlier in my life, people used to say God, family, and friends. But I've noticed the trend had reversed. I've noticed that kids are starting to listen to their friends more, less to their families, and definitely less to God. But the thing is where you look at it and you see, if you're in a poor environment and you don't have the resources to grow and do the things you need, a lot of times it's going to lead to property crimes. Property crimes are going to eventually lead to violence. Right. Violence is going to lead to more violence. And then when you only have a small amount of officers to combat that, then how can you win?
Yep. All right, so what I'm hearing, what we need to do, and we need to be looking at all of this. Because what you just said with law enforcement is also connected to education.
Yes, sir.
And things for folks to do.
Yes, sir.
This is a community-wide problem that is a combination of law enforcement personnel, law enforcement equipment, but also educational and community opportunities to get folks,
snowballing effect.
especially to get kids engaged and to keep them on the right path.
Yes, sir.
And those things. So,
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have a specific on where I'll go get that money, but I dang sure going to try.
Yes, sir.
That's the main thing I can say is that and folks, I know I'm sounding like a broken record here and I apologize, but I just don't think there's been a statewide champion for that. You got to ask Billy, you got to have statewide champions that are going to be talking about that to legislators. You got to be coming down, not just coming to Bullock County, but you got to be going into some of these other districts and talking about how important it is in their county that folks like Bullock County thrive.
Yes, sir.
And I think that rising tide that lifts all boats is a big deal. Okay. So that's what we'll do, Ray. Good luck. Good luck to you. Thank you. Appreciate you coming. How many more we're going to do here? Couple? Okay. How are you, sir? Curtis, how you doing, brother?
All right, sir. How you
Good
doing
to see you.
Great,
Curtis Pritchett running for Bullock County Commissioner, District Number 2.
Yes, sir. I'm running as a commissioner, but my question, I got two-part question.
Sure.
And maybe you can help me with both of them. But I want you to give us a little bit on human rights and civil rights.
Yep.
Because they are being attacked right now.
Yep.
And we want to know, I want to know what you think and what your plans are to protect those.
Well, my plan would be to do exactly like I did as the United States Attorney. I will be both vocal. I will use the governor's resources. I will use state resources to try to protect everybody's both civil rights, human rights. One of those civil rights, I'm going to talk about it tonight in Barber County, is voting rights. That is being attacked every day. We got some real challenges on voter rights. So we got to put up a barricade about voter rights. But I think what we're seeing around the country with federal agents in particular, we've got to make sure that you've got state folks that are not going to just willy-nilly start sending National Guards to places and sending ICE and whatever. Look, we want to protect everybody. We want to protect the public from criminal activity. But there is a way to do that, I believe, and we've demonstrated that before, where we respect the Constitution and we respect everybody's individual rights to a free society. And I've got, look, the governor can appoint the head of the state troopers, the head of the Department of Public Safety, and that's going to be an important piece of this. Let's protect people from criminal activity, but let's also protect people from any abuse in their constitutional rights. And sometimes, with all due respect to the sheriff here and our candidates for sheriff, when a law enforcement officer gets out of line, they need to be held accountable. Well, it doesn't matter who it is. If they get out of line, they've got to uphold the law too. And I want to make sure that we do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. And the second part is infrastructure. I'm running for county commission. My phone call the other night was, I live on this rural highway and it needs fixing. And what my plans are to fix the road. And my plan was to immediately, when I'm elected, to get that particular highway on the agenda. Right. But getting it on the agenda and then get it voted on, but it takes some time for that to happen.
Yep.
And my thing is that.
And you got to have money.
Exactly.
You got to have a budget to do it.
That's right. So the Department of Transportation, they got the Rebuild Alabama campaign going on. Can we strengthen that? Or is there any kind of way as a governor to allocate, because the state of Alabama do pretty good with their roads. Right. And like to me, they're doing a better job than sending money to rural county like us to fix roads and bridges. Yeah, no, I think the rural counties, look, I've run 2 campaigns and I'm starting a third one right now, and I've been on a lot of rural county roads, and I can vouch for the fact that a lot of rural county roads need some help, need some work, and they don't have the money. Look, I really do think that there is money available, or has been. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think that this big bad bill that they passed this past year, that we had our senators and our Republican members of Congress vote on,
I think we're going to struggle to have some of the money for that infrastructure in the future because it's not going to be there. They're cutting a number of things. We got to make sure that money is distributed fairly. State roads are important, but if we're not going to build the county economics in Bullock County, if we don't have the right infrastructure roads coming in and leading in and out, that doesn't necessarily mean widen the roads, but making sure that people can drive on them. And I'm sure there's probably even some dirt roads around here too that need some work. I think we need to have a revamp and look at how monies are distributed. And that just hadn't been done in a long time because it just, a lot of these counties have just been afterthoughts. So let's look at that. And I promise you that as governor, we're going to take a look at that. I cannot stress enough the fairness of the approach that a Jones administration is going to have when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to education, when it comes to tax incentives for small businesses.
Right.
Okay?
Yes, sir. And one more thing is that, I was down at the county jail yesterday visiting the county jail. We got 5 staff members, and they're all women working in our county jail. We got some of the most dangerous inmates in the state of Alabama in that jail right now. And we talk about funding, we talk about money. When they put their uniform on, they putting their life on the line.
Sure.
As well. A police officer will get an inmate, and they might ride him around 2 hours. That later might get him in heaven for 2 years.
Yeah.
So and there's funding for that. And I worked there. I'm a retired correctional officer at the Bullock County Jail, and it wasn't for the money for me because I don't think you can pay enough money to do that job. But I think they need something, an incentive for doing what they do. And we talk about a lot of times. We talk about that's not enough funding for this, and not enough funding for that, not enough funding for this. But I see that state of Alabama can find funding to be a prison, but we can't find funding to support our schools,
Right.
and support the corrections officers that working in those prisons.
Over $1 billion for one prison.
Right.
They said they were going to build 4 initially for less than $1 billion. Then it was 2 for less than $1 billion. Now you've only got 1 for 1.2 or 1.3 billion. There's something not right about that. And it's somebody that's not looking at how funds are being distributed. And by the way, those prison funds, that was COVID money.
Exactly.
That was COVID money. That wasn't designated for anything to build prisons. But yeah, how we distribute that money is going to have to we got to take a long look at that to make sure it's being distributed fairly. That's the biggest piece of this, I think, that we've got coming.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time
All
out.
right,
Come over
Kurt.
here and see about us in Bullock County.
Thank you.
Good luck on your campaign.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. Okay. One more. Okay. Awesome. How you doing? I'm good. Good.
My name is Afrida Cobb Scott.
Okay, nice to see you. Thanks for coming today. I appreciate it.
I'm a retired.
All right, speak up. Make sure we can get you there. Speak up.
Hello, my name is Afrida Cobb Scott Meeks. I'm a retired educator with the Bullock County, Montgomery County School System. I presently serve on the Board of Education in Bullock County. Bullock County is my home. I was born and raised, educated in the school system here. I went on to do my further education. I left, I came back. My problem is, as governor, what would you be able to do to bring in resources to help the infrastructure of Bullock County? Presently, we are dealing with our utility boards, our sewage lines, or however old Bullock County is, over 100 or so years old. We have raw sewage that's running down the streets. We have raw sewage that's running in under people's homes. These are wood structured homes. So with raw sewage, it's a health issue. When raw sewage soaks into wood, it stays. It don't just go in there and wash off. So when I met with the utility board, they are talking about they don't have the money and a lot of other issues, which I assume they don't. And there are a lot of issues where we have a new company that came in, and they want the customer to pay a certain amount of money to bring the lines to the road. Well, and this is from fact, when the line was supposed to be brought to the road, I had them to come out to tell me exactly what the line is supposed to be. There's no line in the road. So you
Right.
can't bring it to the road for a tap when they don't have it. So what is it that you, as governor, would be able to do for Bullock County to help to get new sewage lines and new water lines? Because when you got raw sewage running to public sewage drainage,
Right.
all that's a health issue.
Yeah, no, it's something we looked at when I was in the Senate because there were any number of problems throughout. Lowndes County had some of the
Right,
same
Lowndes County
problems.
is one of
Greene
those.
County had some of the same. Lowndes was really rough
Horrible.
there for a little bit. And I remember now that Bullock County has traditionally had some of those issues too.
Yes.
But there has been, at least in the past, and I would have to look at it going forward, there has been federal money, grant monies, that have been available to local water boards and other facilities to help correct that issue. I'll need to look at that. I don't know where that stands right now because candidly, again, the Trump administration is cutting back so much of this. I can remember asking the Secretary of Housing, Urban and Development, Ben Carson, this, and he was talking about economic zones, and that just wasn't going to help. But there was money, because we put a lot of money in to help the infrastructure issues. And it's been a problem because it doesn't seem to be getting where it's needed. And I need to find out why.
Okay, so are you saying that there's money that's been put out
There
there?
has been.
And I'm sure,
There's money that has been allocated in the federal budget
For
for these specific, very specific programs. Like Lowndes County, like Bullock County. And in the past, there was a lot of resources that were available, but unfortunately with federal monies, it takes a while to do it, and there's got to be a consensus, and sometimes it's hard. The one thing I would urge, and I'm hoping after this next election, when I get elected governor, we can find every county can reach some consensus among all of their elected officials. This is what our pressing problems are. This is what we need, because that doesn't always happen on a local level. We got to start building consensus with the communities. That's why we're here listening. We build that. I think that there will be some federal monies out there that we can do. The state's going to have a hard time completely doing that themselves, but we got to find that money.
and it's desperately needed because, and this is from past years gone by, we have so many, it goes back to our health, our sanitation. We have such a high rate of cancer. We have a high rate of a lot of illnesses in Bullock County. And some of our problems, if we research it, if we do the research, we'll find out that there's improper sewage and drainage around here.
Yeah.
You know, we have the poultry plant, and it has all types of chemicals. You know, poultry carry all kinds of diseases and stuff that goes with it. And when you, and I'm speaking personally, when you start talking about a company for your city, when you have raw sewage that runs for over 10 days, that should not happen.
No.
That should not happen. That's unacceptable.
And you know, here's you raise a different problem now too, because all of a sudden we have a bill passed in the legislature, and I don't think anybody around here voted for it, but you had a bill passed just recently where it prohibits the state of Alabama from having any environmental regulations greater than what the federal government's doing. That bill passed. It's going to be signed by the governor. Now, you know that the Trump administration is basically doing away with every environmental regulation they got.
Yes,
and those that are still on the books, they're going to ignore. And so now the state of Alabama has an excuse. So those plants and others that they're recruiting in, they pretty much have the run of the place. We got to figure out how to reverse that law. And I can tell you, as governor, I'm going to start pushing those environmental regulations.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
We actually have one last
Okay.
person, but we're going to hold it to 5 minutes, make it a little shorter.
Okay, not a problem. Come on in. How are you, sir?
Fine. I'm Pastor A.C. Martin.
Yes, sir. How are you? Good. Have a seat.
I pastor New Prospect Baptist Church in Wetumpka, Alabama. And I'm also the vice president of NAACP here in Bullock County,
Okay.
5066, where Dr. James V. Poole serves as president. And I'm here today. I don't have to ask you a lot of questions because you have proved yourself to me.
Thank you.
You have proved yourself to me, as being the attorney, as being a U.S. attorney and the former U.S. state senate, United States Senate. And but what I want to say, I just want to make myself plain because we're going through a lot of different situations now, and it looked like to me that when things get woke back up again, like racism looked like to me as the race without a finish line.
Right.
And it's very critical. And like the education, it's been explained about how they fund in the Choose Act and giving the people money for they can homeschool their children, they can send them to private schools and all of this stuff. And, they really resegregating the schools once again. That's all that's happening. And then again, the open carry, the guns and all of this stuff. You understand? Even Jesus said, if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. If you live by the guns, you'll die by the guns. And I noticed, and you've already said it, that they would rather, they choose to incarcerate rather than educate.
Right.
You understand?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a serious problem. And then when they brought up about, when they brought up about cutting off SNAP for over so many million people, that kind of, made people afraid and stuff. And then people have the wrong concept about food stamps, about SNAP. They have the wrong concept. And everybody that's getting SNAP is not just lazy, laying around and just waiting on, the welfare or the SNAP situation.
Well, now, wait a minute. Now, I think Senator Tommy Tuberville said that. Are you telling that Tuberville is not telling you the truth? But I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it's a thing where you have people that work 2 or 3 different jobs, but they still don't make enough money to pay their rent, the utilities.
Right. And importantly, on SNAP, I'm glad you brought that up because Alabama, we have a pretty significant active military in Alabama, and Alabama has the highest rate of active military on SNAP than any state in the country.
That's right.
The highest rate. Now, those people ain't being lazy. They're not sitting around. We're just not paying them enough, and they got families. So the whole thing, that whole stereotype that folks like Senator Tuberville and others say just doesn't apply.
And I'm a history person. I remember in 1967 when President Johnson had to threaten these southern states if they didn't do right by African Americans when it come to the food stamps and welfare, because you had you're the good man, and when I say Caucasian, you had people working in the Caucasian houses and they was on welfare, right. So it's kind of scary, and I want the people. I hope the people would understand that this is the question I really want to ask. The Democratic Party, when it comes to funding a candidate that's running for these statewide offices as a Democrat, why won't they fund the people that run for those, just like you are running for governor?
Well, look, I think that's part of the party's fault for years. They've just neglected Alabama. They've put it in other states that the national folks are more important in these swing states. But let me tell you, we've been working with the party. We've been working with some things. They see some opportunities, I think. But this goes beyond just the Democratic Party. I mean, this goes to independents. It goes to Republicans who want to change. That's what this election is about. This election is about change. It's about changing the direction for Bullock County. It's about changing the direction for Alabama. And the thing that I want to we'll finish up with, I want to tell you, one of the things I'm hoping that everybody hears, when I talk about a champion for Bullock County, I mean it. But when I also talk about it, I'm going to be a champion for Jefferson County. I'll be a champion for Madison County. The one thing that we have talked about in this campaign is there's a song that I quote all the time. Y'all look it up. It's from a group called the Highwomen, and it's called Crowded Table. And here's what I think that everybody in this room wants no more or no less than what you believe you deserve as an Alabamian, as an American. And that is the kind of lines from that table, that song. I want a house with a crowded table where there's room by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able and gather back together when the day is done. The door's always open, your picture's on the wall. We're all a little broken, but here we all belong. If we can build Alabama, my goal is to build Alabama with that crowded table, where there's a room there for everyone, and everybody at that table not only has a seat at the table, but they got a say in what's being served on that table, and that's what we're going to do for the state when I'm elected governor. So thank you for coming. Thanks to everybody. I appreciate it.
I would just like to say that I appreciate you. I appreciate you for the things that you have done. I appreciate you for the things that you've done. Thank you very much.